Memphis, 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 Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee, the beautiful land in the world.
And I'm thankful for this guy who tweeted and said, I don't have that fire in my eye no more. That game right there was for him. That's what I do. I prove people wrong each and every night, and that's for him right there.
Hi, this is Tom Izzo at Michigan State, and you're listening to Grizz 901.
What up, Grizz Nation? Welcome back to another 901 Grizzlies. No, that's not it. Grizz 901 live post-game show. Listen, I've been having a lot of things going on tonight. Watching this game was honestly not one that I really just loved. But the Grizzlies are coming off of a beautiful game, a 34-point loss. It was magical. Is that right? Yes, 34. No, listen, I'm not going to do my addition. It's 29. A terrible night. Yeah, 29. It's not my strong, stuff tonight is adding up. But the Grizzlies, they suck tonight. And it is just one of those nights that we're here on a weekend, and it is not just, the best thing in the world to come to you live. But you know what? We're going to have a fun show tonight. This is going to be one of our best shows because I know Nate's fired up, and I'm excited to actually do this show. So let's go ahead and get into this show. There's no beating around the bush tonight. It's going to go ahead and get hot and heavy from the start. Let's go ahead and bring Nate in. Nate, I thought I did the math right. I did not do the math right.
You're about as good at math as the Grizzlies are at having a basketball IQ.
As soon as I said the 901, I was like, all right, I'm thrown off. And then I tried to do my math, and that was not right. The intro was just as bad as the Grizzlies were tonight. It was bad.
Dude, what was that shit?
My intro? It wasn't that bad.
The game.
I'm kidding. The game was ugly. 125 to 96 was gross.
The most stretch mark, acne-ridden, hairy pile of ass I've seen on hardwood this year. I don't care who you have or don't have. Like, all you have to do is not be stupid. Yo, people are gonna say fire Taylor tonight. Again, this is a safe place for that tonight. What are we talking about? There you go. I honestly didn't even see that comment before I said it. There you go. Yes.
All right. So,
safe place tonight.
From the start, thank you, Grizz Girl, 179, 13 of 42 from 3. She's over Jenkins. Full tank mode. Listen, what I'll say is the Grizzlies had 9 players available for the most part.
Who cares?
One dude was a guy who just got here, and that was Scottie Pippen Jr. And 9 guys. And you're going to bitch. You're going to complain about playing certain guys with certain guys. You only have 9. You only have 9.
Okay.
One of them is he's not a full human.
Okay. Let's pretend you still didn't have the ability to change the lineup at all. Let's pretend that you're right. And there's no possible way to possibly get one guy on the court when another guy is off of it, because it's like a combined minus 2,000 in 3 games. Let's pretend that's something that can't possibly happen. How about the fact that every time Jaren touched it in the paint tonight, other than like one possession, you got points? And for some reason, you can't go to it 3 times in a row. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure you can go to it 3 times in a quarter. Oh, here's the Daniel thing. That's on the players.
It is.
Wow. If only there were a position in a team's organization that sole purpose was to make the players not be stupid. What would that be called, Daniel? What would you call that position? I might call it a coach.
Your parents.
I might call it a coach.
Their parents need to raise these kids better.
Oh, the players are stupid. Sure. There's people with jobs, and the job sole purpose is to make the players not stupid. It is like at a certain point, like your job is to say, hey, guys, there's a 6'5" dude on our 7'1" dude. Give him the ball. Like, Dog, like you just completely let them off the hook all night. By the way, that team, the Bulls, is cheeks.
Cheeks, true.
Like you should be the underdogs in every game. And like there's certain things like Andre Drummond's just bigger than everyone you have. You don't have a center. Like that's okay. Okay, Alan,
you spelled Jaren's name wrong. I'm sorry, you spelled Nate's name wrong. It's Nate. That's been Nate's MO his entire podcasting career.
I completely understand it's been Jaren's MO. Guess what, Nate, dude? At a certain point, your job as the coach is to make the things happen. If you lose by 30, but you keep giving the ball to Jaren, whatever. If Jaren just sucks tonight, whatever. Guess what? Jaren was awesome when you got him the ball in the paint.
Was he?
Also, he was 1 of 7. Guys. What was that? One more time?
He was 1 of 7 from deep tonight. He had 26 points. Yeah, cool.
Daniel, does in the paint mean from deep?
No, but he's obviously taking 7 3-pointers.
Dog, did you not hear what I just said? The paint.
Listen, me and Goon.
At a certain point, at a certain point, give him the ball in the paint. I like it's just asinine. It's asinine.
Yeah. Listen,
sure. No. I'm going with Allen right now. Jaren could have had 50 and they still lose. Yes.
That is
absolutely.
True.
And I'm okay with that.
Jaren's not that dude. He's not going to demand the ball.
Here's the point. I am okay with this happening. This right here.
It's not happening because he is not that dude. He's not a guy who's willing to break your grand piano in Zaire's house and say, "Hey, bring me."
Just did it against the Wolves. He just did it.
He didn't. They lost.
Yeah, because he was in foul trouble. Every time he was on the court, he
played
was
2 minutes in the third quarter.
Every time he was on the court, he was dominating that game, Daniel. This is like 2 + 2 = potato.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense.
The entire rest of the year, and that's fine. I don't care. Again, they lose tonight. It happens. What I can't stand is watching you just play putrid, asinine basketball that makes no sense. Even like you're talking about the GG Zaire stuff. Do I want GG to play without Zaire? Sure. That is not the end of the world to me. What's the end of the world to me is watching you have Jaren dominate these guys when he's on the floor. They don't have anyone that can guard him. And instead, you're bouncing the ball around the perimeter and Jaren standing in the corner. You want to say it's on the players? Sure. Yeah, you should be smarter than that. Guess what? There's a certain person whose job is to make the players not do that.
Yeah, they're parents. They should have better pregame conversations.
All right, go to hell.
Listen, Caden Davis, David Roddy should have played way more than Zaire and Conchar. Roddy played the second most minutes tonight with 32.
I thought Roddy played well. Like I said, there's certain things you just can't help. You just can't help. You can't help the fact that you don't have a center. You can't help the fact that you have to put Santi Aldama in the game, and his head so far up his ass, he doesn't know his shit from the roses. Like you can't help certain things like that. What you can help is what you have in Jaren Jackson Jr. in the game. Like, I don't know what's that's the thing. That's the thing that's going to bug me. If, again, you lose tonight, I don't care. You lose by 30 tonight, I don't care. But how many times can you just let them off the hook?
No, I agree.
I'm not going to it. It's insane.
Listen, Volcano, the sweat says we suck. It don't matter. All right, to Nate, he's standing on that ish tonight. He's going to stand on it.
Dude. I don't care. Yeah, it doesn't matter that we lose, but it matters what kind of effort you put forth every night. Have some freaking pride and do your job. Do your job.
Bill Belichick.
It's asinine. We're not on to Cincinnati. This is stupid. That was stupid. And listen, we have been sitting here all year giving only fair criticism to Taylor Jenkins. Hell, you're defending him tonight.
What's he supposed to do?
Make his team give the ball to Jaren.
He played a bench player the second most minutes tonight.
You keep just dancing around what I'm doing because you're trying to push my buttons. And guess what? It's working. I'm still on the heater. It's just stupid. Like, you want to die on a cross for Taylor after that, just absolute, like, the lowest basketball IQ game I think I've seen the Grizzlies play since Ja came here. It's fine, do that. But at a certain point, it's your job to make sure players know what they're doing.
All right, so let's ask some questions here, because I want to find out what's in that pea-sized brain of yours over there.
Okay.
Jaren plays the most minutes overall. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
All right. Luke Kennard and Vince Williams play 30 minutes each as well. Are you okay with that?
Perfectly good with that.
Okay, like, honestly, like, we're 3 for 3. I'm feeling good at the moment. David Roddy, your boo, plays 32, the second most minutes tonight.
Good
and
with
you're
that.
over here bitching about these other dudes?
Yeah, because unlike you,
positions on the court.
Daniel, I said one thing about the other dudes. Are you serious? Like, I'm gonna punch you through the freaking laptop.
I dare you.
No, I can't. I actually need this thing. I was about to do it just for the show. But, like, listen, all of that I'm fine. Like I said, even the Zaire Gigi mints together, I would love for that to be my biggest issue with tonight. But it's not. It's not. My issue is when
he didn't
Jaren's
play
on the court,
Desmond. Is that your issue?
When Jaren is on the court right now, there's zero reason he should ever be standing in the corner unless you have gone to him so many times in a row, he has to take the play off because he's completely gassed. And he was standing in the corner a lot tonight. There was one time I'm sitting there, I'm like, why don't they give the ball to Jaren? And they literally hot potatoed it to him with 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and he goes and gets an and one. Imagine if you gave it to him and featured him. And it's almost like, dude, it's seriously like, it's almost like you sit there and you just have your little ball and you have the ocean and you just have to throw it in there. And somehow you slip, hit your head on the freaking bench of the boat, kill yourself, and the ball lands in the hole. Like, it's right there. You have one player on the court that's consistently awesome. Give him the ball.
He had tonight, Jaren had 18 shot attempts. The second most was David Roddy with 11. Like, it was shared across the board tonight,
which is stupid.
I agree, but obviously, like, when I say shared, it was Gigi had 3 shots, 2 of 2 from deep. Like, that's on him. If you only take 2 3-pointers, that's on you. If you're 2 for 2. That is, you're not, as a coach, is not drawing up plays on a consistent basis. He's drawing up, like, sets. Like, hey, run horns, run my balls deep. I don't know. Whatever he's running a set. It's their job to make plays. This isn't high school.
Daniel, I know what you're doing, but here's the thing. I have a singular bone to pick.
Sherman. We need help.
I have a singular bone to pick with the game plan tonight. It just so happens it's the mother effing femur. And the problem is Jaren was somehow not consistently featured tonight, which is asinine. He had 18 shots. He led the team in shots. Okay, he should have had 28 shots. Like, it's just, that's the only thing. You want to say, okay, whatever with Gigi. Again, we talked about this last game. Gigi is going to be hot. He's going to be cold. He's going to have great nights. He's going to have bad nights. That's what's going to happen. Like, the Gigi thing is purely development and excitement for Grizz fans. That's all it is. That's all that is. But not giving Jaren Jackson Jr. the ball every time down the court until you can't physically do it anymore is asinine. That is the singular bone I have to pick. But it's a massive bone. It's like they just ripped the spine out of their own team tonight. It's insane. It's insane. We need point guard help. Yes. We need a center. Yes. We need guys who can actually play basketball. Yes. On all 3 counts. But here's the thing. You got one. You got one that can play. Why didn't he get in the ball?
Because he's not that type of player.
Okay. Well, apparently we don't have a coach who can figure out how to make him that. Listen.
He's never going to be that type of player. He's never going to be a 1
okay,
or
sweetheart.
a 2.
He was literally 2 nights ago every time he was on the court.
And they lost.
They're going to lose all the games.
They have to allow the other players to be good if they're going to be good.
They're
That's
the
just what I'm
best
saying.
when he had the ball. Like none of this makes sense because guess what? You give him the ball in the paint. What'd they do? They doubled him. And then what happens when you double them? He passed it out, and then they got the best looks they got all night. And other guys got in the paint. Again, nobody on here is a team fire Taylor Jenkins thing, but I'm going to call bullshit when I see it.
The Grizzlies.
That was asinine.
The Grizzlies are 1-15 when Jaren is the leading scorer.
Who do you want to be the leading scorer, Daniel?
I'm just saying this is even bringing back when you like this even brings back like when you actually have good players on the court and not David Roddy and you don't have Santi Aldama.
Nobody here is saying fire Taylor Jenkins. This team has like 2 real basketball players. And guess what? One of them only knows how to talk in Spanish right now. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing on the court.
Why you gotta
Other than trying to cuss out
like
Rudy Gobert in Spanish. That's the only thing he's doing.
Maybe it was French. Maybe
guess what? Jaren still played 30-something minutes tonight. Might as well give him the ball while he's out there.
He had the ball, and he wasn't as good either.
And guess what? He had the ball half the time he should have.
Xavier Tillman was hurt tonight. He had a knee issue. I'm trying to answer some of that in the chat. But real quick, because the chat is on fire, and listen, I love you. The chat is always our best friend. The chat is sponsored by Streetcars of Memphis. I'm going to go get my oil change. I'm going to call them, not in the morning because it's Sunday and they're closed. That'd be crazy talk. But Streetcars of Memphis, regular maintenance to your car plus all of the modification needs from speakers to lights, lifts, wheels. They can modify them all. I'm going to make Nate boil at this point, but you go ahead and use the code Grizz901 for this month only. $55 regular oil change, $65 full synthetic oil change. That's an oil change at cost. Huge savings taking place at Streetcars of Memphis. Go check them out online at 901scm.com or go ahead and call them. Pick up the phone. 901-323-3332. Schedule your oil change, maintenance, or customization service today. And listen, when I say they are out in Memphis, they are on Jackson Avenue. Like they are in the heart of Memphis. I am going to see them. I'm going to go and call them probably maybe tomorrow, if not very first thing Monday, because I have to actually take a trip out of town for work. I'm hoping to take my ride. I'm going to ask them if they can pimp my ride. I'm going to call them and see if they can give me the Grizz 901 deal. And so I'll report back. I guess that's maybe Tuesday. I'm hoping I get my oil change on Monday or Tuesday or whatever the next game is. And so listen, the Grizz 901 comment section sponsored by Streetcars of Memphis. All right, let's get to some of these chats. All right. So Dak Daniel says, Jaren had 5 assists, probably could have 10 if teammates shoot average. If yes, you're saying if the team didn't suck. Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Because they passed the ball into Jaren and Jaren, did. The coach actually drew up all these plays to go to Jaren. Jaren passed to the right player. The guys just didn't make the shots. Taylor Jenkins
he drew it up all 5 times.
Every time. No. He said he could have had 10. So 10 times he drew it up.
Maybe he did it 7. Maybe he did it 7.
Your love affair with Dak Daniels pisses me off because he's saying you're right.
Dak knows ball.
I don't agree. The offense doesn't work if Jaren doesn't touch the ball. If nothing else, it keeps it out of the other 4 players' hands. I agree, but we have to figure out a way to make the other players better. But yeah, I disagree, Dak Daniels. Screw you, Dak.
Here's the thing. The best way to do that is to give Jaren the ball because other teams will just sell out like they did tonight, which is why Jaren's getting all these assists. But here's the thing, honestly, like if guys would just touch the paint, good things happen. When Roddy touched the paint tonight, good things happen. When Vince touched the paint tonight, good things happen. When Luke touched the paint tonight, good things happen. But they can't consistently figure out a way to get to it. And you have one player that's just head and shoulders better than everybody else. And when he has the ball. And so we give him the ball in the paint. Like tonight, you want to see another step from Jaren? Another step from Jaren was passing out of the double team and making the right play pretty much every time. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of those things where you watch teams where their best player is a big. And it's like, if LeBron James isn't on the floor, the ball's going to Anthony Davis. He's touching the ball every time. in a place where he's a threat. Right now, while he's on the court, there's no reason that shouldn't be Jaren. And again, like, Taylor is freaking showing up to a gunfight with Kleenex. Like, you can only do so much with the roster that he's got. But what's infuriating is when you then piss away the opportunities you have with that roster. And the opportunity you have with that roster is like, Jaren, listen, you want to say, oh, we should make all these other guys better. One, we already talked about the best way to make everyone better is for Jaren to touch the ball. But number two, the best way for these guys to get better is to know their role, which is around a player that's better than them. That's their role, is to be around that. Otherwise, you get a lot of, hey, here we go. Everybody loves this guy, Dylan Brooks, who just came in and did never learn how to not chuck shots.
Dylan sucks.
Okay, well, guess what about the rest of our team, Daniel?
They suck too.
I got news. They all suck.
Speaking of the rest of these players, we're going to talk a little bit in segment 2. I have a very good Grizz Trivia question that I completely obliterated in the intro, as I said earlier. The intro was worse than the game tonight. I tried. That's all we're going to talk about. I tried. But the other thing is we're going to have that Grizz Trivia question, but then I want to talk about more about a new segment we're going to kind of have. Is going to be called On the Radar. We're going to dive into a player or a thing, whatever it might be. But tonight is going to be about Quentin Grimes. And so the Grizzlies have been linked to him. So we're going to dig into him a little bit more. But because of that, I think we're going to talk about the other players as well. And so I don't want to spend too much longer on this segment, because I think it's going to bleed into the second segment. But the rest of this team is struggling. Yeah. So we'll see. But as Chris says, showcase games till the deadline is over. Like, that's just the truth. February 8th is coming. These are all about showcasing these talent, and hopefully one of them booms, and so they can boom it out of here. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. And again, like, if Jaren only shoots 18 shots on a night, like, I'm not going to be upset. The reason I'm so upset tonight is because he only shot 18 shots, and he wasn't given every opportunity to make it happen outside of that.
All right, I got a question.
Again, I think makes everybody better.
Opportunity, whatever. If you want to say one's opportunity because he gets the ball, I want to say, like, is it on Jaren, or you think it's on the coach that he's not getting more shot attempts?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's Jaren has never been a guy that to demand the ball, but at a certain point as a coach, you've got to make that the game plan. Like, that has to be the plan. Like, the plan can't be, hey, we're going to, like, play within the flow of the offense and it's no, like, Jaren, you're the best player on the floor. You're getting the ball every time, which, again, we saw that against Minnesota. We saw it last year sometimes. I mean, we've seen it this year before Ja was out, when Bane would be off the floor. Like, we've seen it. You got to make it happen. And so should Jaren be more assertive? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, like, as a coach, your job is to have a game plan that makes sense. And the game plan can't be, we're going to bounce the ball around the perimeter. We're going to give Jaren like 5 seconds to try and get it to him. And then after that, just bounce the ball around the perimeter. Jaren goes to the corner.
Yeah.
And if it happens, it's like, okay, timeout. No, this isn't what we're doing. Right. And so it's a little bit of both, but the onus has to be on the coach to make that happen.
I got a question, and this is serious. Jaren and Rudy Gay's mindset, do they favor?
No. It's almost the opposite. It's literally the conversation we're having right now. It's like, you couldn't get the ball out of Rudy's hands.
That's what I'm wondering. So that's the thing is like, Rudy wanted the ball and he was going to take the shot, and it's the opposite of Jaren. And so, yeah, I thought that'd be pretty funny. Honestly, like, and one thing is somebody like who I'm going to go back to this Dak Daniels one. Is somebody who can't set a screen. It is Jaren. Jaren has no idea how to set a screener roll. It's absolutely atrocious.
That's true.
But yeah, Jaren, as Sherman says, would have to change his mindset to completely, be able to be that guy, to be the guy that we all want him to be. But obviously, I think that mindset works when you have a Bane. When you have a job that really just wants to be the main, 1A, the alpha, he wants to be the clean it up a little bit. He wants to play the defense and kind of free flow through the offense. But honestly, it is what it is. Like, I do think that this team is struggling. When they're going to hit their threes, they're going to be in the games. When they're not, and that's what I saw tonight. Tonight, what I'm looking at with their numbers overall is they did not shoot well, and so that's what I kind of see in general. They didn't shoot well. The flow of the offense completely thrown off when they don't shoot well at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but also like the first 9 shots were all threes.
Yeah,
I think they took 9 shots before they got in the paint. And so. Listen, it was putrid basketball. It was terrible.
As Ryan
most
says,
of the guys are terrible. A lot of it's going to be bad.
Yeah, Ryan's saying is he's a third option. He's learning to be the first option, surrounded by a bunch of bums. Like, it's just
absolutely, which is why somebody has to coach him up to figure it out.
It's not going to happen.
Listen, I understand, and this blame goes on both ways, but at a certain point, like, how many times I have to happen before you just make it happen? I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand.
Sherman's with you.
That's not the game plan.
Sherman is with you. He thinks that Jaren can do it. Like, he thinks he can be that guy. Big guy saying that we need more drivers. True, we do.
You know what else we have to do? We have to get the guys. We have to tell the guys that suck that they suck, so they quit shooting it. So, like,
but we only have 9 players.
I don't care. Let's play with 8. I don't care.
All right, but last thing before we get to
it's
our
a competition
segment,
between Jake and Zaire right now, by the way.
I'm going to go back to Chris's. So I'm going to ask you.
He
Nate,
won't be.
Do y'all think he needs to be the guy that he was in Minnesota every night? Like, let's separate him every night. Do you want that Jaren when this team is how it is without Bane, without Smart, with all them? Do you want him to be that guy? And then also, do you think he can be that guy when Bane and Smart comes back? Let's take out Ja because I think it's different. But when Bane and Jaren or Bane and Smart come back,
it's not who he is. It's not going to be how it goes.
What a yawn!
Right? It's not going to be how it goes. But like right now, why not? It's the same thing. It's like we've seen it. We've seen it happen. Like literally the last game. We do. That's such a good way of describing it.
Big guy, bro. Me and you are on the same page.
That's good. But yeah, that's not going to be. It's not going to be Jaren. That's not who he is. Like it really is. Ja, Bane, Jaren. That's how it is.
He can't take over because he doesn't have that in him to take over. But let's go ahead and end it.
We've seen it.
We've seen it. But
literally one game ago.
I agree. We've seen it. He can't be consistent with that. And that's what I think hurts him is he can't be that consistent guy. He can't be that driving force to say, hey, give me the damn ball. Agree. But last thing I'm going to do is our guy. And if you don't know this guy, he is a true legend. He always comments over at Grizz 901, not even at Bluff City Media, but over at Grizz 901. And this is Carlos Yates. And all he wants to do is have you bring some bottled water back to Memphis.
Okay. This is the last comment I have because I agree. You're only as good as your flock, and Jenkins has a garbage flock with Jaren.
That is true.
That's so true. My problem is when you say, okay, guys, we're all going to fly with one wing today. That's my problem.
So you're telling me there's a chance. All right. We'll be right back. Let's go ahead and hit on some Pete and Sane. We'll be right back in about 1 minute and 7 seconds to the Grizz Trivia. Hang out. This is going to be one that you're going to be. This is going to be one of the better ones of all time. Grizz Trivia.
Yeah, because Zach Randolph went into the Blazers organization that had some characters. Underline the word characters. Right. Okay, he's coming from Michigan State. He's from Marion, Indiana, and then you go to Portland, Oregon, which it's an entirely different culture, entirely different demographic. He had people around him who were guys from Marion. Hey, you owe us. Anthony, one of the key memories of my time here in Memphis, off the court, I did a Read to Achieve event with Zach Randolph. And the kid who read the most books, his prize was to get to interview Zach Randolph. And the young man, first question to Zach is, what's the hardest thing for a black athlete to learn? And Zach did not give him any, like BS fluff answer. He said, a lot of times the people who say they're your friends, they're not your friends. And you have to pick the people around you very, very wisely.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, we are back. This is the Grizz 901 show, the live post-game show of your Memphis Grizzlies, the number one post-game show in all the land. I am Daniel, and he is Nate. We have a rest of the show. It's going to be very, very fun. We're going to get into Grizz Trivia, but also going to get into somebody that we're looking at. It is on the radar, and tonight is all about Quentin Grimes. And then the third segment is going to be previewing the next game, which is the Raptors. Tonight they lost against the New York Knicks. But I do have to tell you about one company, and I'm going to give this tonight because I'm not sure if Nate is even ready. But you know about Pews, it's all about flowers, baby. Well, they do have the commercial landscape maintenance as well as the regular flowers that you all know. Pews has been around for 30-plus years servicing the Mid-South, but now Pews has residential lawn care. Pews Residential Spray can take care of all of your weed control and fertilization needs. If you want to create that perfect weed-free lawn, go ahead and reach out and order up some Pews Residential Spray. Go ahead and give them a call at 901-633-2118 and let them know that the Grizz 901 crew sent you. And remember, when Pews, you get that big company strength, small company values. All right, let's go ahead and get into Grizz Trivia right off the bat. This is not a question about the draft, Nate. This is a question about who has been busting the Grizzlies' head for all time. This isn't about total points. This is about an average. And no, this guy did not play one game. And no, number two, Paolo Banchero. He has averaged 27 points against the Grizzlies. So you know it's higher than that. He's only had 2 games against the Grizzlies, but he has an average of 27. This player that I'm looking for has played 44 games against the Grizzlies, and he's averaged 27.2 points per game. Who is that player over all of his career averaging 27.2 points versus the Grizzlies?
Here, let me turn the comments off.
Kobe is not it.
It's not CJ, is it? That's too easy.
Not CJ McCollum, but let's find CJ on here.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, actually.
So Kobe has averaged 24.4 points in 67 games against the Grizzlies. So shout out to you, Dak Daniels. As you know, obviously he's in the tops. CJ McCollum, 22.4 points over his career in 33 games. And it's not LeBron. If you want to go ahead and I'm gonna rule some of these out. Where is LeBron? Yeah, LeBron. Oh, sorry. 45 games, 25.4 games. And you know, one more I'll give you a hint at. And no, it's not the one game against Dino Raja when he had 26 points.
Okay, is this like a star? Is this one of those like guys?
Superstar.
Current player?
Current player.
Current
Active.
player. Huh?
He's active, yes.
Active player. KD? Is that it? Is that it?
How? How do you get these?
Because KD's awesome and he's played the Grizzlies a bunch. I was trying to think of guys who they've played a bunch because Western Conference stuff. So I was like, KD's the best player who's played him.
I thought you would say Luka. I really did.
Nah. Luka kills them in every way possible, but it's not always points.
26.2 points, but only 14 games overall against the Grizzlies. The 44 games I thought would definitely give you a little bit.
Shout out Dak.
But yeah, you and Dak Daniels always won together. I hate you both, evenly.
That's awesome. That's pretty funny.
Steph Curry, another guy on the list. He is 25.9. Another guy that I don't think you know is Sean Higgins. He had 27 points. I have no clue. Sean Higgins. Sneaky good one. Kyle Kyrie Irving, 26.9 points against the Grizzlies in 18 games. And the other one I want to give you is one that you would have no clue if I had to guess, if you had to say one of the top 10 guys. Chris Webber, 25.9 in 25 games.
Never in a million years would I have guessed Chris Webber.
Exactly.
So he would have played a decent amount of games against the Grizz.
Yeah. Listen, this list is amazing. Devin Booker's right after him. So it would go Chris Webber, Devin Booker, LeBron, and then Jared Butler. He had one game. But if you brought in guys that had actual real games, Allen Iverson with 24.9, Kobe, Trae Young, James Harden, Shaq had 23, Anthony Davis, Michael Jordan. Like, that list is like top.
It really is. Only the best against the Grizz.
Nas Reed. Sorry. Nas Reed's not in the top 25. I apologize because he's had so many bad games. But Nas Reed should be there.
As of late.
Ultimate Grizz killer. Him and CJ doing business.
That was fun.
That was fun. I thought it was a good one. When I was Googling it, I laughed out loud. My wife was sitting next to me and she's like, "What?" I go, "Sorry, I just had a really good Grizz trivia question." Midway through the game, trying to think of what I would actually think about. But let's go ahead and get to our newest segment. This is On the Radar. Tonight we're going to talk about Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes has been linked to the Grizzlies, obviously now throughout the New York media, and he's kind of on the outs for the most part with Coach Tibbs, and he's kind of just not fitting into that system. But he is what the Grizzlies look for. Quentin Grimes is out of Houston. He born and raised there. He actually played in Houston. 6'5", 210. Probably, fudging on those numbers a little bit, but he is 23 years old. That's not a fudge. But his contract is $2.3 million this year. Next year is $4.2, and then the year after that is a restricted free agent. He has played well. I think he's a player that you look at. He's an average NBA defender plus average shooter. What's your thoughts on Quentin Grimes?
He's not like a big needle mover for me, but he's part of, that's my first reaction, I guess. Let me frame it this way, is he's not a needle mover, right? He's not a Jeremy Grant of the world. He's not one of these guys like Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. It's like, man, that guy is a piece. But the other part of that is I've also just been like, I really want the Grizz to get more solid players, just guys you can put in that is like not going to murder you while he's out there. Yeah. And he's just going to do kind of what we said tonight, his job. And Quentin Grimes is that. He's a good enough shooter. Like, he's not going to light your world on fire, but he's shooting, I think 38% on about 5 or 6 attempts from three. He can create. He defends fine. Like, he's just solid, right? So he's not a guy I'd want to give up a bunch of assets to go get. But quite frankly, if you're the Grizzlies, like a lot of these young players are like I would do anything to not have to play Zaire Williams or Jake LaRavia. It's honestly become a competition between Zaire and Jake in my mind of who I want to see on the court less, which is so sad. But it's like he's going to get on the court and be a threat in some way. He's a solid player. And quite frankly, like, guys who play for Tibbs that Tibbs doesn't like look way worse than they would elsewhere. Yeah, typically. Right? Like, he's just, if you're on outs with Tibbs, you're on outs with Tibbs. Heck, it was Miles McBride for a couple of years. I kept begging the NBA to get Miles McBride out of New York because that kid could contribute somewhere. And then lo and behold, Miles McBride gets a start against Memphis and freaking lights it up, right? So Quentin Grimes in a different situation, I think, could really benefit. Maybe he doesn't improve at all, but I think he would improve. So, I see Dak saying he's career 2.3 assists per 36. He's not a playmaker. He never has the ball in his hands. Yep. He never has a chance to be a playmaker. He is not going to be a quote unquote playmaker, but he can create. He can self-create. He can make things happen. It's never going to be his go-to, but it's something he can do. And so if you have him over a guy like D'Angelo saying, Conchar, Zaire, Jake, he's a lot better than a lot of guys you're playing right now. So, I would not move heaven and earth to get him, right? Like I would not give up a bunch of assets that could be valuable elsewhere to do it. But if it's you can, it's not going to cost you money. Absolutely. He's a solid NBA player.
Sorry, you broke up for a second. I'm not sure if that was on everybody's end, but mine end. But I do think he is a solid NBA player. I think he's fine. Tonight he did go 20 minutes, 0 of 4 from deep, 4 points overall, 4 rebounds. He had an assist and 3 fouls. Like, that's nothing to write home about. But he is a decent shooter. He's 38% shooter, especially lifetime. And he's going to be that type of a shooter. I'm not sure exactly what I would do. And so I want to kind of play this game with you for a second, because I have heard this, and I have heard that there is rumors, and I heard that their rumors are pretty strong. And so take that for what you want. I have been right about my other information so far, but I can't always give away what I know. But I will say that there have been links of Kennard to New York and maybe bringing back Grimes in that package. If you were to lose a Luke Kennard, and the only major piece that you're getting back is Quentin Grimes, are you okay with that?
I don't know. Because it's, again, you're thinking about it all in the scheme of this team healthy.
Right.
And I'm not sure Quentin Grimes is better for this team healthy than Luke Kennard. For all the hate Luke's been getting, like, he's been doing fine as a primary creator, which is not what he is.
Yeah.
Right? So the only argument there is, okay, Grimes can do a little bit more creation, probably is a better defender, probably. But, like, he's not a big rebounder, and Luke's the better three-point shooter. No, I wouldn't do that. And
listen,
even
the chat's saying no as well. I agree.
Yeah, even with Conchar, like, you could argue Grimes is an upgrade over Conchar for this team. And there's, in a way, I think that could be correct. But another way, like, Conchar does all that little crap for you. And again, I think Conchar is solid. I've always liked Conchar solid. He's not a guy you want to do much. But at the other side, Conchar could also be a piece in a bigger trade. Yeah. Right? So I'm not devastated. I am not living and dying with Grimes to Memphis, to say the least.
Let me give you a little bit of insight on what I'm hearing so far. Is you're talking about a Quentin Grimes, and this is probably going to be a 3-team deal if everything was to shake out the right way. But I think the gist of it from Memphis is going to send out a Luke and possibly a Conchar, right? So Luke makes 12. Conchar makes 2 this year, and then next year Luke would be on an expiring deal with 12 again, and then Conchar balloons up 3 times that to 6. I'm not saying it's a big number, but he does balloon up to 6. What you bring back then would be a Quentin Grimes, and who's the other guy for New York that makes a lot of money that doesn't play? Fournier. Fournier makes 18. And what you have, and let me explain this why, Evan Fournier, let me explain this.
Okay.
Is Fournier is on a team option for next year. And so to give you the parameters of what I'm hearing so far is you send out Luke and Conchar for 14, and you bring back a total of 20, right? And so somehow it makes sense, it works, whatever. But then after this season, Fournier's money's gone. You keep Grimes for another year, which is only $4.2 million. So you have an extra, right? So you have the access there of the 10-ish million available. Can you spend that on something else? I think that's what you have to look at is do you make sense of, can you upgrade that position, or do you feel better if you take the 10 million plus the Grimes of the 4 million, upgrade that to that?
No.
That's my assessment.
I understand the move, but based off what we've seen so far, it's not the Kleinman way to go use a bunch of money in free agency, to be honest. I like John 17. Send Luke for Brunson. That's a good call in my book. No, and again, I think, like, Kennard, when your team's healthy, will contribute for you. Like, we have yet to see Kennard play real minutes with this team healthy, even last year. We barely got to see it, right? So Kennard will do good things. He is a contributor to this team. Like, if you're going to send Luke out, I want you to bring something back to contribute, not just to free up money.
Yeah.
Because Luke's a guy that conceivably can fit with this team. And even like, I had a disagreement with, I think it was Chris in the chat, me and you were in with him, where, there's been a lot of Luke scared to shoot. I think Luke's too focused on making the right play.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's afraid of his percentage. I don't think he's afraid to let it fly. I think he's always like looking to see the best play to make. Where it's like, dude, sometimes you taking the shot is the best play, right? But even when this team comes back, he's going to contribute. So, like, if you're going to send Luke out, bring back a guy like, call up Atlanta. See what you can get Bogdan for. Like, that's a guy who you don't have the biggest drop-off in the world. Like, in theory, he's a three-point specialist who can do a little bit of creating for you and does a little bit more. Like, even that, though, it's like, don't make a move just to make a move. Do something to make an upgrade.
Yeah.
Right? And, yeah, I like what Ryan's saying there. That's a number you can put into something for a bigger piece, right? Into a bigger trade. Even if that's just another solid role player that happens to fit better. But making the move just to make a move,
yeah. Listen, I agree. The first time I heard about that, I was like, no, we can use Kennard for a better situation. Just as Ryan was saying, is you can use Kennard for a salary piece. And as Chris pointed out, he's making 14.7. So I apologize. I get so confused with all the contracts, but I didn't look his up. It is BC and it is Steve-O making 12.5. So that's where I'm always stuck on the 12 million. But I just think that this team isn't upgrading a top 8 piece, even if they get Quentin Grimes. I don't think he's a top 8 piece for this team. I really don't. I think he's on the border. I think he is the 8th guy. If you're looking at next year, like, I think he's fine. I think he is possibly a bucket getter coming off the bench. The problem is I don't think he has the wiggle enough that I would love if I'm going to be a shot creator, a bucket getter off the bench.
Well, and again, he's just another guy. Like, he's just another guy. That is it. That's it. He's just another guy, and that's the end of it. But the main thing I want to bring up here, you got all my being pissy about the game tonight, which, by the way, was all justified. I'm right. You're wrong. The end. Sorry, Alan. I wasn't trying to pick on you, but again, you want to dine across for Taylor tonight, then do what you want to do. The biggest thing is, if they don't make a move at all, I'm still not devastated. Are there things they can do? Yeah, sure. But if they don't make a move before the deadline, who cares? Like, oh, the team's going to suck. What? The team's going to suck no matter what they do the rest of this year. That's happening until you get Bane and Smart back. But we said this at the very beginning of the year. This roster, when it's healthy and everybody's playing, is a damn good NBA roster that fits. The pieces fit. So it's like, there's moves to be made, sure. There's upgrades to be made. If you can get a Jeremy Grant, if you can get a Mikal Bridges, if you can make something like that happen, sure. But listen, you run it back this year, but next year, but this roster is healthy, you've got a really good roster that can go contend. So everybody wants them to make a move because you just want something.
Yeah.
You want to feel something as a Grizz fan. But even if they don't, like, I'm not devastated. I'm just not,
Yeah. No, I agree. And it is, like sad Grizz fans saying, a horrible move to move Kennard just because. He is a very good role-playing shooter. And he's a piece. He's kind of like a luxury piece in a sense. He's a guy that you love having on your team, especially when you're healthy. Like, he is a guy that creates a little bit of space. But thank you for Chris for saying that I am right. But you know what? Big Die had to speak up. I'm right every time also.
Shout out, Big Die.
The comment section always brought to you by Streetcars of Memphis. If you need an oil change, if you need any modification needs, go check out and just look them up. Streetcars of Memphis. But if you want to, for this month only, give them a call. Let them know the Grizz Dynamo team sent you. You get a $55 oil change. It's practically cost. But if you want a little synthetic in your life, $65, a little $10 more. It's called an upgrade. An upgrade. All right, let's go ahead and get into a little bit more of what we were talking about, and then we're going to end it, getting to the next game, which is the Raptors. But this has been a fun talk. I want to see your thoughts on this. This team, as currently constructed, completely healthy for next year. I'm going to bring back something to what Sane talked about on his last show that he was on. But Ja, Dez, Jaren, Smart, and Steve-O, those 5 are probably your top 5 on your team, correct?
Yes.
If you had to bring 2 others, I would imagine it's going to be Luke and Vince, correct?
Yep.
All right, so that's 7.
Santi.
Okay. Anybody else?
Who is good despite himself.
So that's your top 8. So that's your top 8? If you could upgrade that top 8, that's what I would look to do. That 8 fully healthy is something that I'm interested with next year. But something Sane said that he is live every Wednesday and Friday at noon. The Anthony Sane Show. Go check him out. But something he talked about is this team does not. What'd you say?
BC. So that's our top 9. Oh. I forgot about BC.
Yep.
Right there in the comments, Big Guy, John, and Dak all got BC in there.
Yeah, you're right there as well. So, like, let's just say it's either Santi or BC. Let's just agree on that. Santi or BC is your number 8. Let's just say that's your top 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can somehow upgrade one of those, that's the goal. And so, if you don't upgrade one of those top 8, that's a problem. But right now, and I know everybody wants to make a move right now before the February 8th trade deadline. This team has a chance to be good game 1 of next season if they don't make any moves. Let's say that the whole offseason comes by and no moves are made. The only move that's made is they make a draft pick and they actually don't bring back Xavier Tillman. That's the only moves made. Well, then you get into the season and they figure out what's going on. When they have the next trade deadline, so approximately 365 days from now, that's the time you have to make a move, because that is really what's important, is figuring out how your team is next season, and it's less about this season. And so I want everybody, I heard that and it kind of just hit me. I was like, you know what? That is exactly right. This team if you took out everybody that's playing right now and you only brought in the players that are on injured reserve or hurt right now on the bench, that would be an actual playoff team. So if you switch the roles, that team I'm okay with. They're going to be good. I'm going to be completely honest. We're going to be fine. But I do understand you want to make a move and get some of these young guys out of here. But you do have next year. They're going to be on expiring contracts if, for worst case, they didn't make any moves.
Well, and I don't even, I was going to say, I don't think you have to make any of those moves because your top 9 is great. Let's say, and then even after that, the 10, you got X. Gigi's looked really good, by the way. Yes. Like, Gigi's a guy who could absolutely develop. You don't want to count on him being a real contributor, but every time Gigi's gotten run, he's looked pretty good, right? Other than when he's on the court side. Got one last punch in. But, there's guys who I'd be curious about out there, but if you don't upgrade that, your top 8, top 9 can really run with about anybody's top 8, top 9.
Yeah.
I am curious because it's something I brought up a lot and it makes a lot of sense to me. But if Atlanta's selling, if you can go get Bogdan, I really think Bogdan's a guy who's used to coming off the bench and can play and can shoot for you. I like him a lot, but I don't know if maybe I've just seen a bunch of his good games, so I have a skewed view of him. But that's one that I just had my eye on since they've been talking about Atlanta selling,
Yeah. I think so too. I think you can look at Bogdan. He's the type of player you need or you would like to have. I just don't know if he's the guy that, hey, I'm like really focusing in on.
That's fair.
If it's me, all my chips are in. Give me Mikal Bridges. Like that's
you can get him, yeah.
That's it for me. Like there's not many people that I'm like, hey, all of this is going to be done to get a player. I'm moving heaven and earth to make sure I can see if I can get this player, because weirdly enough, you're not ever going to be in a better position you're never going to have a better draft pick than this guy. Like whatever you're going to get, you're probably going to finish 6th this year. Whatever the draft lottery does, you're never going to have a better pick in the next 5 years than you do this year.
You willing to move Smart to go get Bridges?
Yes. Smart is not long for this team. Smart is
maybe not.
Smart can go help a team right now win a championship.
Yeah, but in theory, next year that team could be Memphis, right?
He is not the best fit next to
I agree he's not the best fit, but it's something you and me have gone back and forth about a lot. I think we agree on to an extent, but we differ in how we view it in this specific situation. Having winners matters. Yeah. And I think he's a winner. Right. Yeah. I think he's a winner. And so, it's exact the reason that I'm not as big on Kuzma as everyone else is. That's why it's like,
don't give me that pink sweater, dude. No,
dude. Well, listen, he is like the stereotype is like the fit, right? He's the fit. But I'm like, exactly like Dak said.
He's a loser.
He's a loser, man.
He's a loser.
Lost a lot. And I don't know, man. Like it's hard for me because I 100% see the appeal and the fit, but I'm like, man, that guy, I think I just think of him as a loser. I do.
What about Herb Jones? So Herb Jones is obviously with New Orleans. What's your thoughts on Herb Jones?
I mean, Herb Jones, I think would be a really good fit with this team, especially since he's hitting all his corner threes, but I don't know what he's making.
I got a question. Is not maybe Vince Williams Herb Jones? Like he's already cheaper. You don't have to move anything to get him. Like if you want to get maybe a Herb Jones and a Vince Williams, that's great. And yes, I'm seeing that Kuzma got a championship. He was not a main piece. He sucks.
He went with the Lakers?
He was with the Lakers. It was LeBron.
He was there.
He was on the team.
He had really good seats.
Yeah, he got a great front row seat.
It's the same thing. It's almost like, I mean, a lot of people say that's a Mickey Mouse ring. I'm not going to say that, but I also look at it, I'm just like, nah, that's a guy who had really good seats. Just like a lot of people had really good seats to LeBron winning.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a lot that, listen, as Dak Jones is saying, Job, Vince, Herb, Smart, Jaren is lethal. Where is Desmond Bane? I don't know if you know this. Desmond Bane. No, yes, and Ryan, I understand he started. He was on the team. He was really close. He could almost feel the sweat.
Here, it might be this. I'm also like there's certain teams in this example, Charlotte and Washington, that once somebody else that's touched them, I kind of don't want it anymore. It's kind of like that girl in college that went home with that guy, and you're like, no matter who it is, you're like, it's over. It's Jover. And that's like once a team goes to Washington or Charlotte, forever in my mind, I'm like,
All right.
Been there for too long. Been there for too long for everything to be healthy and the tests come back clean.
All right. And last thing I will say is going to shoot. I know you've been talking about Matt Hurt. Listen, he's fine for the G League. He really is fine for the G League. He's not an NBA player. I don't want to waste my time. We have enough guys that aren't NBA players. The last thing I want to say about Matt Hurt, he's fine. He's fine. But he's a G League player. Anyway, let's go ahead and end it on that one. I don't want to talk any more about that. As we agree, and Dak Jones agrees, he isn't that great. But let's go ahead and get into our last segment, which is going to be the preview for the Raptors game. Before we get there, yeah, there is more. We'll take about 5 minutes on that game. Let's go ahead and give me about a minute or so. I'm going to go ahead and get into our last segment. Be right back.
I'm just big on being able to vocalize what someone's role is. I always thought my best coaches were the people that let me know exactly what you expect from me. Now, I might not like it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. But if you come to me man to man to say, this is how we think we're going to play you, bang, bang, bang. And hopefully everybody understands. I'm not saying that this has not been done with this team. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying from my experience, we all have egos when we get to this game. Right. All of us. To the last person on the bench, you got an ego. But all of us can't be the man. Yeah. You got to be able to say, okay, he's the man, but what do I do and what can I do to help us be good? And if it's vocalized to you, then you know exactly and if I'm out there doing it and now I'm not getting the result from you, now we got to sit down and have another conversation. But as long as it is told to you, this is what we expect from you, this is how we want you to play, then I feel like, again, keeping his logo.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Yo, we are back. This is the Grizz on One live post-game show after each and every game. Looks like we are not the only losers tonight. They're the Green Bay Packers. They just went down 24-21 in a very good game. It ended up being a late game, but a lot of rain involved as well. And so tonight it is what it is. It sucks for the Packers. I'm glad they lost though, because they did beat the Cowboys and they actually embarrassed them. But let's go ahead and get into the last game. That's going to be against the Raptors that we're going to see on Monday night. It is a 6:30 tip, so a little bit earlier. It is on the road as the Grizzlies have the next 2 games on the road before they return home against the Magic. What's your thoughts on the Raptors? They're without Pascal Siakam now.
I mean, they'll probably beat us. Sorry.
They're 16-27 now. They just lost to the Knicks tonight. I believe it was by 25, I would imagine. But the last game that we played against them, they beat us 116-111. The Grizzlies were at home. And so another road game.
Man, rough first year for Darko. Imagine having Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG to start the year, and your record's still as bad as ours. I mean, I don't know what to expect from this team, to be honest. From the Raptors, I would expect them to be reeling a little bit. I mean, you didn't just lose a couple of teammates. You lost a couple of guys who are like massive contributors, which is why that happened, right? Yeah. The thing that worries me is you got guys like Scotty Barnes and Bruce Brown who do what most of the guys on our team don't do, which is like confidently attack all game, whether it's offensive or defensive end. We don't have any guys that do that. We have Zaire Williams, who's afraid of his own shadow. So it's like, that, in my opinion, is going to be the difference in the game, right? I think I would lean towards Raptors winning because you have that mindset from some guys. Like, you got RJ Barrett, who's like, screw it, I'll go be the best player here. You got Emmanuel Quickly, who can torch you at any moment. And then you got Scotty and Bruce, who are great two-way players. And so the Grizzlies have Jaren, who may or may not assert himself, right?
Yeah.
The truth is, there's not a team on the planet that has someone that can guard Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
At this point, like, you could say maybe AD, Porzingis, because he's so dang long, has given Jaren a lot of issues. For the most part, you don't have a single person who can lock up Jaren. But we saw tonight against a team that Jaren torched basically anytime he wanted to. Half the game he didn't want to. So you just don't know what to expect. I think Roddy, you'll see his minutes continue to go up because he's one of the few guys that will attack the paint and does not back down from anybody. That's great timing by Heaven's Healthy. I was about to bring that up, actually. I imagine we'll see some Pippen Jr. Get some more run, get a little bit more integrated with the team, get some of those Gilliard minutes. I'm very interested to see what will happen with Gigi, because despite all the back and forth we had earlier, I do think you're doing yourself, the team, a disservice by not exploring ways to get him some true like run and opportunity where he's getting shots, he gets the ability to create like he did at the end of the game tonight. Because you saw what happened in TNT against the Warriors, that the kid has something that these other guys you drafted don't have. And so you should find ways to explore that. And quite frankly, the Zaire Williams point guard experiment, one, makes me want to take bleach shots every time the Grizzlies play. But two, it's just not working. It's just not working for you. Like that, it's run its course. At a certain point, we say like, "Hey, these guys can develop. These guys can develop." Dog. What are we doing, man? I genuinely feel better with Jake LaRavia with the ball in his hands at this point.
Yeah, and listen, I have defended Taylor Jenkins. I defend, especially most coaches because I do think the position is very hard. It's a thankless position in a sense. But what I will say is, besides that, it does get annoying, especially in the comments right now. Just seeing the comments of we need an ex-NBA player as a coach, dude. Those guys aren't good coaches. Most players can't be good coaches. Like we've ran through this. Like not many guys who were ex-coaches or ex-players are good coaches. Like there's not. That's literally a statistic. Like look it up.
Well,
it's fine. The problem is half of the roster is hurt, and the half that's playing should not be playing. It is what it is. Like they're just not good players. And you know what? It sucks, but it is what it is.
And to clarify, especially because I think we may have run poor Allen off. We may have lost a fan tonight because I got the back and forth. I agree. Like, again, I think he's shown up. I think I said he showed up to a gunfight with Kleenex earlier. Like, this is like crazy difficult season. I think we saw against Minnesota, Taylor outcoached Chris Finch that entire game. Like it's not that I'm sitting here saying fire Taylor Jenkins, but when I see stuff like that happen, I'm not just going to come on the show and like pretend like we didn't just watch what we watched, which was you have one guy on the court that can go and get buckets, and for some reason you're not giving him the ball. All that to say, though, like
I agree.
All that to say, like I'm not sitting here. I've never been team fire Taylor Jenkins. Maybe for one night, I don't know. I got pretty heated that one night. I lost it. I can't. Oh, that was the Raptors game. That was the last Raptors game. But yeah, he's truly doing an impossible job right now. So like my goal and your goal is not to come on here and crucify him every night. I've said all season there's legitimate criticisms of Taylor Jenkins, but that's not what we're here to do. But I think the team is done a disservice by letting what happened tonight happen again. Which is you have such little to work with and you don't maximize what you do have to work with. And quite frankly, we've got like 40 something games left to watch. And I don't know if I'll make it if they do that every night. The Minnesota thing can happen every game the rest of the season and they lose every one of them. I'm cool.
So you're saying ride your big dogs, and if you still lose, that's fine too.
Well, if you're getting to the paint and kicking out and missing a bunch of open shots, and it's like Kennard shooting them, Vince shooting them, Jaren shooting them, something like that, I can live with it.
Yeah,
it's the nothing's happening, and for some reasons we don't go to the guy who can do something for us. And yes, he did.
He played ball in high school. That's it. And so I had an interview a long time ago. And
I guess it depends on what you count as ball.
who is the guy that just passed away? He was with the Ringer. I'm drawing a blank right now, and I apologize. God, I hate that. Anyway, so I interviewed him right in the middle of him doing his chemo, and so shout out to him for forever allowing us to have a chance to really have that interview. The interview,
Jonathan
Sharks. So if you remember Jonathan Sharks, he did pass away. Thank you, Dak. The interview was atrocious. It sucked. And it was sucky on my end as well. But at the end of the day, he gave a lot of good content and good material. The reason it sucked is because he didn't want to be there, but he felt like he should because we've been talking about this for 6 months. As he started going through the chemo, he was going through. And so shout out to Jonathan Sharks and his family, who actually his wife emailed me maybe about 3 months after he had passed and was very, nice about everything. And so she was saying how much he really enjoyed his time and just wanted to reach out to the people to make sure that we knew that he had passed, but also just to make sure that we understood how he enjoyed and talked about even the smallest of podcasts. He loved being on them. So shout out to Jonathan Sharks. But him and Taylor Jenkins knew each other because they were both in the Texas market. And he was Taylor Jenkins was very much a high school player, just like a Steven Adams. right? Just a rough around the edges, kind of rebounder guy. And so that in the end, no. But what it means is, as Big Die says, being a good player means nothing. He was a guy who went to Penn, became a guy who was smart. Taylor Jenkins is a smart coach, a good coach. He's always been a really good coach if we've had a healthy team. And when we got to the playoffs, we somehow are never healthy. That is why I always take a step back on Taylor Jenkins, is because of that. And so in the end of the day, I get it that Lionel Hollins is your favorite coach, maybe. And I get Phil Jackson was not a really good NBA player. Steve Kerr was always on the balls of Michael Jordan.
Steve Kerr sucks.
Yeah, Lionel Hollins was not even known about as an NBA player. I'm talking about people that whatever. So Goon, I love you, man. But those guys is what I'm talking about. That's not a big deal. But the best coaches in the end of the day, they were role players. And a lot of them were point guards as well, because they had to be. They had to think more. They had to kind of think through the game in a different way. So Goon, I don't mean to hate on you tonight. I just want to give you some
Don't ever bring Steve Kerr as an example for your argument into this show. That ain't gonna go well. No way. I do have a silver lining for us.
Let's go. Let's end the show on the silver lining.
We could be the Bulls. Like, that team is ass, and they have all their players besides Levine.
True.
I just want everyone to look around at Detroit, San Antonio, even though there's some good things there, Charlotte, Chicago, Toronto. Like, they got nothing next year.
Yeah,
that's all. Like, LaMelo Ball dazzles in his return. I looked at the score; they lost by 36. It's like, dude, like, we at least have, like, again, I think we both think this roster come back next year, and they're just healthy. You just have the exact guys you have on salary now. Next year, things are looking really bright.
Yeah,
you could be the other team who is going to win nothing this year, and they got nothing coming next year to save them. So, again, I think there's going to be a lot of fun to be had this year, but I really hope we see better stuff than what we saw tonight, because that won't be fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, as D'Angelo says, October can't come sooner. I promise. We have a lot to go before next October, but as you know, that we're going to lead up into the February 8th trade deadline. We're going to be here after each and every game. Tonight, I knew it was going to go a little bit longer just because I was a little fired up. I was excited. Listen, I have been in the house. We've all been snowed in. I am antsy. You still haven't taken down the wreath. You haven't taken down any kind of Christmas decorations. And so I was excited, as always, to really get in here and have a good time. And then you got off on a whole nother level, and I was just trying to play poke the bear. And I am really good at that. Really good.
You did a good job. It didn't matter. I was pissy tonight. That was some bullshit. I'm still mad about it a little bit.
All right, so make sure you go check out. Sane just woke up from a long winter's nap. But hey, speaking of Sane, go check out our guy Anthony Sane Wednesdays and Fridays at noon. But also we have other shows. If you're a Tigers guy, Tigers Untapped is going to be here also on the Bluff. And then the brand new, we don't have it yet, but the Tigers postgame show. If you're a Memphis Tigers fan, Francis Carlotta is doing the Tigers postgame shows. And so he does them with Roman Cleary. I assume that's going to be a consistent basis. But man, you never know what you're going to get with that show.
Tigers fans always mad at something. They got to get me on some of these Tiger shows, man. From an outsider's perspective, I just like want to give like the objective, like I want the Tigers to win, but I don't live and die by them. Like, I wouldn't say I'm fair weather. I always want them to win, but I'm not going to cry ever if they lose. But they got to get me on some of these shows, man, because Tigers fans always mad at something.
For sure. But yeah, that's all we got. Make sure you also go check out the Daily Grind each and every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. They're coming to you live. Mark and Luke do a very good job on that show. But we'll be back here. We'll be back here for sure on Monday. I guess that would be a 9 o'clock instead of a 9:30 start probably for us. And so a little bit early, 30 minutes early. And so a little bit better for us on that show for sure. But yeah, as Saints says, them Tiger fans, they mad at everything. Always. They stay hating. But do us a favor. Go check out the $2 Sports Show. It's brand new. It's a bunch of North Mississippi boys just talking sports. Very good show. Their first show. Want to be very supportive of them. They're always supportive of us. So go show them some love if you can. Is there the newest addition to the Bluff City media? But that's all we got. Let's have a great rest of the weekend. Make sure you stay warm. Take care of your water. You might need to boil it if you're in Memphis. But that's it. Get out there.
Shout out MOGW.
Shout out to MOGW. Hey, shout out to our sponsors, Street Cards of Memphis, also Pew's Residential Spray. Do me a favor. If somebody would, in the month of January, maybe February, give them both a call. One of them a call. Report back to us how your experience went with them, but let them know the Grizz 901 team sent you. But that's all we got. Be nice and tell your friends.